My name is L.A.N.D.O. I was a writer, artist, and the mix and mastering engineer for this project for a quarter day. So I would say that the main idea behind this project was to challenge ourselves as creatives. Shaggy hit me up and he's like, hey man, I think we should do a project where we take about not even just a certain amount of time, just sit down for one little bit of time and see how many songs we can actually make. So came over, we got the process rolling, met the boy King D-Roc for the first time actually during the recording. And the main challenge was just to see how many songs we could actually make. This has been something that I've never done before. I've typically just write, and I'm known for keeping songs in the folders for a decent amount of time. So being able to work on a project with the idea of putting it out pretty much as we get it done was something that was definitely new to me, but also very fun. So I've actually known Shaggy since high school. I think I was a sophomore in high school and he was a freshman in high school. It's actually pretty crazy timing that we both met each other around the same time that we wanted to like pursue music and like make music and see what would happen. I was in a rap group called Indigo Labs with my homie Abe. I was the producer. He would come over to the house. This was way back in the day. I had a blue snowball and we would record in a closet. I would push all my clothes to one side and that would act as the foam that would catch all of the sound. And it would get hot as in that closet. But hey, bro, we had to work with what we had at that time. And Shaggy and I just developed our friendship pretty much from there. He would work on his beats. He would work on some songs because he did write at the time. And we just pretty much always kept in contact. And then we eventually started working on projects together, collaborating on songs and EPs and albums, and just kept the relationship, stay in contact and just continue working. In terms of King D-Roc, meeting him for the session to record this EP was actually the very first time I had ever seen the dude, ever spoke a word to him, any of that. And Shaggy actually produces for the two of us, and so it's actually pretty wild that a producer has two artists that he works with, and just because of we got a lot going on, we just have never actually met or talked. So to have that experience, to meet him, it honestly feels like I've known the guy for a long time. We were able to talk and just immediately get into the work. Very down to earth dude, very chill, very humble. It was a great experience. Maybe one of the biggest surprises would be just how smooth everything went, especially with the little amount of time to no time D-Roc and I have actually known each other. Because usually when you work with an artist, you want to know what their style is, you want to have conversations with them, get their vibes. But honestly, it was just vibes as soon as like we just started working. D-Roc was locked in and he knew what he wanted to do on the project. We were just staying communicated as we went. Not a lot of conversation, but just idea of what's the topic of the song. Let's stay within the topic and make sure we're not just doing verses just to do a verse, making sure there's actual content there. So I would say that is a experience that will probably stick with me, is just the fact that everything ran smooth, from the beat production aspect to the recording aspect, the writing aspect. Everything just fell into place, honestly. There was never a block. We just kept the flow going. I would say this EP is pretty different from the projects I've done in the past. I've collaborated with artists before, but in my list of albums and EPs that I do have, I like that my sound is pretty wide. I do focus on the dark sounding stuff, but with my first EP, Leave No Stone Unturned, it actually allows me to experiment and be a little more open with my songs. In terms of the production style, Shaggy and I have done a collaborative tape in the past, Demon Days. He fully did all of the beats for that. So in terms of the project and working with him, I have for sure worked with him before. He knows what sound I like. He knows how I wanna go about work, and I know how he also wants to get things done. And there really wasn't a learning experience with D-Roc. D-Roc just went with the flow. I would say that pretty much all of us just went with the flow of things. So in that regard, it wasn't very different, but the other aspect of it that was very different was how fast the project got released. It pretty much got released within a week of the writing, production, recording time to the time it was out was about a week. That is something I'm very not known for. I definitely wait on things, and I have things release with a structure in mind. But releasing this tape, it was just a challenge of, hey, what can we make? What can we do? And let's just put it out. It was a great experience. So I would say that is how it was unique, especially to my own journey. Actually, no. The writing process, you would think that writing 3 songs in one day, you would run out of things to think about, things to write about. But because of how much creativity there was just in the room, and you could just feel it, I was just able to grab the ideas and grab what I needed just already out from the air, out from the universe, and I was able to put them down on the notepad and lay them down on the microphone. I think that was also another surprising aspect was it was just super smooth with the whole trying to write a verse, trying to write hooks. It was like, honestly, this was just already planned out. The universe had already planned this out. We just needed to actually get the people here into the room and just get the work done. I like to always, now I guess depending on how you pronounce them, I pronounce them loofs. This is the sound, the perceived loudness of the actual track. I personally like to always keep a graph open, and I use tracks I throw into my DAW as well to hear him. Specifically, I use Stick by JID and J. Cole and all of them. I put that in my DAW, and my loofs, they hit at about -9 to 10, and so I just kept that in mind of making sure I hit around -12 to -10. Making sure everything was stereoized the way they need to be. I always put kicks and the 808s, I always put them in the mono, work with them that way. There's a software called Vitamin by Waves, and they're like a compression EQ plugin, and so I always put that on the master track, turn low end to the mono, and always just boost it some. I typically just actually ran with my normal master chain. There were some experiments with the multi-band compressor, especially with the low end. I'm someone that really likes low end in their songs, so just making sure that stuff is mixed and mastered well was crucial in my eyes, and making sure that the words and you can hear the artist is good as well. I would say during the hooks, there's a little more structure going on in terms of A-B rhyme patterns and stuff like that. In terms of my verses, it was a lot of not freestyling, because I did write it, but the way that I wrote it is like a freestyle. So you would think of the first line, read it out, write it down, and then just go from there, piece the second line, third line, and then just make sure that you keep the idea, the topic that you wanted to write about, but you just piece the song line by line. That's kind of like my writing process personally. Is I can be writing the 16th bar, but I always start from the very top of my verse, rap all the way through until I get to that bar I need to write down the line I think fits best, see if it fits. So I don't write songs in terms of, all right, let me write these 4 bars and then focus on these 4 bars. I write song line by line, always starting from the top, going down. I really hope that makes sense. But it's like piecing a puzzle together and then always starting at the beginning, going down the line, making sure it's good, finding in that piece, and then just repeating the process until you're done. That's my personal writing process. Some people like to freestyle or piece it together. That is what I do. I'm a line by line person. I do think that the goals were achieved. I think for myself, a goal that I had was to make sure I was being as productive as I could with my writing during the time. And since it was my first time working with D-Roc, making sure that when he was on the microphone, he felt comfortable, that the reverbs were in the way that he liked them, and honestly just making it a smooth experience for D-Roc, because Shaggy and I have worked, we know how things get down, so we don't really need to worry about things too much. But I just wanted to make sure that D-Roc was chill in this environment. He was able to create and just be able to work at full capacity and just be as creative as he possibly could. I gotta say, I am very impressed with King D-Roc's trying to write a verse. If it's something you haven't done before, it can be a very daunting task, let alone trying to write 3 songs and also hooks and other stuff like that too. But we came to play. We weren't playing around, no games. If anyone was on their phone, it was because we were trying to write our stuff. It was just 100% working all the time, not wasting a 1 minute. Shaggy would go into a separate room, produce a beat, and by the time he comes back out, we might not have recorded the song, but verse wise we're actually done with our verse. Everyone just did their part, literally. It was like this chain. All right, Shaggy's doing this, L.A.N.D.O's doing this, D-Roc's doing this. We all get it done in this timely manner, and then we just move on to this next project or this next song. I would say, so technically this is quarter day EP, so it took 6 hours. So I guess if you divide that, it took about 2 hours per song. But that's also not including the recording time. I would say we probably got each song done maximum 45 minutes. I'm not even lying. 30 to 45 minutes probably. I think Willpower was the longest song to write just because there was a hook and there were other aspects of it that we wanted to make sure were good. But on average, I would say probably half an hour to 45 minutes to write our verses and at least 1 to 2 hooks. So I gotta give it King D-Roc and myself, bro. We killed that bro. Writing a song in 30 minutes is wild, let alone 3. Shout out D-Roc, bro. I think in terms of the sound, it just recalls some of the styles I've done in the past. The project that Shaggy and I did called Masterminds. It kind of gives me Mastermind vibes a little bit, but with an upgraded sound, especially in the beats. Less boom bap drums, a lot more trap drums, but boom bap sounding like loops, if that makes sense. It definitely pushed me out of the zone of working with more artists. If you look at my catalog in the past, pretty much up until about 2023, it's just a lot of solo stuff, not a lot of collaborations. And then I collaborated with Jared Dean on Demon Days. Shaggy also has a collaboration on there. A lot of my collabs actually stem from Shaggy and I working on projects. So I think in my artistic journey that way, building the connections with these other artists is a very valuable part of the relationship that Shaggy and I have. I want to just give the message of just stay focused. You cannot give in to doubt, even if it is there. You still just got to push through it and just be as driven as you possibly can be. That's what Willpower was about for me. Literally, I think the first line is you better go all in, never doubt again. Doubt will always be there, but you just can't ever play into it. You just always gotta persevere, gotta push through it. You're gonna be your biggest supporter, so might as well support yourself and not doubt yourself. There are gonna be a million doubters you'll meet in your life. Might as well support yourself. And so I think that would be the message that I would give. Talk if you have your talk, but also make sure that you have the work ethic to back up the talking. You can't just talk for no reason. You gotta prove that you have the meaning and the means to actually talk. And the way that D-Roc and I produce music, he's also very active. He releases music pretty often. We have the catalog and the work ethic to talk. That's what Got What They Needed Now was about, of just like this EP is like literally what it is. 2 artists collaborating together that know that they can talk their they can do it all. I want the message to be know your worth and understand that you do have a worth assigned to you, and you just got to build it. You just got to make sure that you put in the work and that you persevere whatever is in your way, and that you become the best version of yourself that you possibly can be. I will actually say it's gonna be Got What They Needed Now. That hook is just super powerful because it can mean a lot. It can mean the actual song, the EP. It can also mean a personality trait if you're trying to be a hard worker and you think that you got what they needed. If you have a skill and you can use it, you got what they needed. You have everything that the world needs. You just gotta find it within you and you gotta activate it. I do see this as more of a plan. I do actually think it was a pretty cool idea because it's one of those things where no matter what's going on in your career, if you just drop this style of project, people were gonna rock with it, especially with the idea of it being made in 6 hours in the quarter of a day. 1 producer, 1 mix and master engineer, the artists that are on it doing their writing. As appreciators of music, I don't think you can actually hate on that idea. It's a great challenge. We completed the challenge. We stepped up to the plate and we did it. And I look forward to working more with King D-Roc and working on more projects with this kind of idea as well. I think it's a great idea. Man, I think talking to King D-Roc would be the move, because I think Got What They Needed Now would be the best song to perform live. I actually wrote that hook in mind of to be performed live. It's pretty simple. Everyone would know the words. We can repeat it before the song even starts, so we get the crowd already caught up with what is going to be going on. And I actually do think that the song would do really good live. So I think out of all of the songs to perform, it would be Got What They Needed Now. It's been received very well. The artists that I am cool with here, they've all approached me. They've all said that it sounds great, that the verses are fire. I've seen the streams. People are definitely streaming these songs. Shout out to everyone that streams. My music, D-Roc's music, Shaggy's music all came together to all hear the tape. And I appreciate everyone for that. Yeah, that is what it is. So the biggest one for me personally, I have an album called Built for This, gonna be releasing March 28th. Got some final pieces I gotta put together, but that's gonna be my biggest project to date. It's gonna be about 13 songs long, and just gonna be about how I feel like I'm just built for the rap game. I'm built to be the best version of myself that I can be, especially here in my sound, in my career. I feel very good about my career. I think I'm making the right choices. I'm making the right steps. I'm developing the right relationships with the people that I need to. And everyone that I met up until this point has been super genuine, very down to earth, and very respectful as well. Everyone here respects each other's art, and I very much appreciate that. There is going to be a quarter day 2. There are talks about that. Don't know if that's going to be the exact name, but we do have some things in the works. Got to get some phone calls made, got to make some connections and make the plans, make the schedules, and then we'll be dropping that. And I think the people will really be liking that. They'll be like, damn, son. Yeah, so the message that I would like to give to the people would be to always believe in yourself. Focus on what you need to focus on. If you want to be a musician, get yourself out there. If you're unfamiliar with your scene, just hit up a local show and just talk to the people. Get out there. If the thing about music is, if you didn't make it, you can only blame yourself, because we're the ones that put in the work. We're the ones that make our songs. We're the ones that find our shows. And as artists, you just got to take everything that comes with being an artist and just go out and just grab life by the balls and just live your life the way that you feel like is best. I appreciate you guys. Catch you guys later.